My name is Dave Glazer. Wanted to jump back into where we left off. Maybe not so much where we left off. I know that this video is something that you guys have been waiting for. Let me tell you the story of how I got catfished. All right, so I've never actually told this story on any social media platform. I've never told this story by recording it or anything like that. So I'm gonna try to keep it under 10 minutes today, guys, so that you can get moving, get on with your day. I've only ever told this story to people in person. Maybe they saw me going through it at the time. Maybe they saw me right after this whole experience was over. But I've kept this story to myself for good reason, because it's so completely unbelievable. And if you've ever been catfished, I want you to keep tuning in. If you want to prevent how to get catfished, I want you to keep tuning in, because we're going to compile all of those key components of the last 4 videos and pile them all into one to prevent this from you guys experiencing it as well. So I'm 27 years old. I had just started a new bartending job in an area that was close to my daughter. I was really grateful and thankful to be living close to her neighborhood again, so that I could take her to school, so I could pick her up from school, so we could have that quality time. Our custody at the time was Sunday through Wednesday, and then every other Wednesday night or something like that. I don't really recall. That's actually how we agreed upon it, because I wanted to or needed to work Wednesday night through Saturday night and then Sunday during the day just to make ends meet. So I'm bartending at this new job. I've got my own apartment. I can actually afford all my bills for the first time in a really long time, not having a college degree yet. I'm 27 years old. This is back in the day when MySpace was actually popular and flourishing. So connect with this girl on MySpace, and wow, you know what? This girl's really pretty. Let me just wait on it. Let me just sit on it a little bit. And so over the next few days, as social media flirting goes, you poke, you wave, you comment, you like, and things like that. And I do recall that late one evening, we began chatting on MySpace. One of us hit up the other based on what the day's social media flirting entailed, and somebody needed to break the ice. I don't recall who it was. Nowadays, we call it sliding up into their DMs. I'm sure that happened on one side or the other. Anyways, this beautiful girl is messaging me. Oh my gosh, well, how excited am I to get consistent messages back, like rapid fire, really clicking over messaging. Well, back before social media occurred, it was very common for people to AOL chat or instant chat on MSN or Yahoo or something like that. I was never really big into it. I let down my guard at this time in my life for the first time ever, because I believed I was ready for a relationship. I had not had a relationship since my marriage, so essentially that's 3 full years, maybe 3.5 full years of me being single. Dating a lot, going out with a lot of the wrong girls, because I wasn't ready for a relationship, so that was fine with me. So move back into a new town, start raising my daughter, start messaging with this girl on MySpace. And by the end of the night, I think we transitioned to Yahoo Messenger or something like that. And then by the end of the night, we traded phone numbers. We had talked over Messenger for a couple hours or something like that, and I was super interested and just clicking. I was 27. She was, if I recall, 25 or 26 at the time. And then we slept on it, and then we came back the next day and began texting and texting and texting and texting, and over the course of the week. And then eventually we got to the phone call later on in that first week. And throughout the messaging, throughout the texting, just trading a bunch of pictures back and forth, getting to know her life and her daughter, and my life and my daughter, and really becoming interested. Like I've talked about in one of the last few videos, become curious on social media or an app, and then when you finally meet up, you become interested in that person, then you sleep on it, and then if your heart is still racing the next morning, then that's when you reach out and call and ask for the second date. Well, ours was all via technology. First time in my adult life that I used technology to build a relationship. Texting pictures back and forth, messaging on instant messenger. I'll move past that. Well, over the course of the first few weeks, I was starting to let the other girls I was interested in just kind of go by the wayside. Not ghosting them because it was a small town, but really just not showing interest anymore. Nothing was exclusive. Start speaking to Krista on a daily basis, like all day, every day, because I was working nights. So throughout the course of the day, got to message back and forth. So I felt like this really strong bond was being formed through phone calls and through text messages and through trading pictures of my family and myself, and never sexting, of course. Like, we're just getting into this thing, but more on that later. So, started making phone calls regularly every night and decided that she would come out and visit me. And in order for her to feel comfortable doing that, she asked me for the commitment of exclusive boyfriend-girlfriend. And I'm like, hell yes. If it's not a no, if it's not a hell yes, you should probably say no. Well, at this time in my life, I was ready for commitment, and I was ready to date somebody that I found attractive and connected with. I wanted to date exclusively, so I said hell yes, in order to get her to come out at the end of that September. Well, daily messages, daily phone calls continued to happen throughout the course of that month, and then it came down to the time that she was supposed to fly in, and something occurred at work, or something occurred with her daughter. I don't remember. This is 11 or 12 years ago now. But I do recall how entrenched I was in the relationship. And so we were exclusive. We were talking every single day. Then we started sharing a little bit of like topless pictures or whatever. I don't know. Just the sexting began and started, and I became more interested and more entrenched, and felt myself like really having strong feelings for this woman. And so I let that go. Things come up, long distance travel, long distance relationships are incredibly hard. She lived in New York at the time, and I lived in Loveland, Colorado. So I pretty much just kept on like nothing had happened, and I'm like, okay, well, let's arrange the next time that you can come out. I wasn't really able to travel or take time off of work yet. I hadn't really built up my savings account yet, so she was flourishing in New York, and she could spend some money on travel. So we book it for the next month, and again, something comes up, something happens, but the daily routine stayed intact. I still trusted her. I still wanted to see her in person. And knowing now that my Enneagram type is the Challenger, or type 8, that we lust after the truth, and discovering that about myself in the last couple years is a huge explanation of why I stayed entrenched in this relationship for so long. How self-discovery and self-awareness has helped me prevent that in the future is what we're going to talk about today. So eventually it comes down to the Thanksgiving break, and her daughter's off school, my daughter's off of school, and we were able to plan a 4-day weekend. Well, I was actually switched jobs because I wanted to show up as a better version of myself, so I went to a hotel banquet manager job. And I was supposed to head home from that job for a 4-day weekend Wednesday night, and she was actually supposed to be there at my place when I got there. So I drive home, I lose cell reception, which is pretty typical in the mountains, and I arrive home and she's not there. Even though she had texted me, hey Dave, I've arrived. Hey Dave, I got into your place. Hey Dave, thank you for the welcome into your home, and I laid out some things to make her feel special and welcome. So she told me she was already at my place. So I raced home and enter, and not there. I called and I was furious. And she said, I'm so sorry, I missed my flight. I didn't want to tell you I missed my flight again, because I think that was the first 2 occurrences. And I'm like, you know what, this is done. This is over with. And I pretty much just walked away from the relationship and understood that I was being played and that I was being strung along, and left breadcrumbs and all of these terms that I'm aware of now in online dating and technology within dating. And what I learned is that the self-discovery process, the self-awareness process, why I stayed in that for 3 full months is because I lust for the truth. And you know what? Going into new relationships where I meet people online, I'm not allowing anything to come between my boundaries and my standards to let this happen again. So I hope that this kind of clears up a little bit about how online dating can catch up to you, and maybe why you can prevent being catfished in the same situation that I was. Again, this is Dave in Denver. Talk to you soon.